Alright guys, welcome back to another Master and Apprentice video and podcast. Today we've got a video that I just want to start off right off the bat. It's not clickbaity, I'm not trying to be clickbaity, but I think it's an important topic to talk about, and yeah, we're just going to get right into it. You've probably heard, if you're in the Marvel community in any sort of way, Disney Plus for Marvel is not really successful, right? Wonder Man had weak viewership, but that was kind of to be expected, right? It's a show that's not connected to pretty much any of the MCU in really any single way. There's some small connections and cameos here and there, but it's probably the biggest disconnect so far out of all the MCU shows. But that was kind of be expected, having weak viewership. But Daredevil Born Again season 2, I think fans had higher expectations for. Season 1 wasn't a smashing success, but it did have a pretty big community of people who really enjoyed it. It's part of the reason it got greenlit for season 2 and 3 so quickly. And we're going to go over today. It's an article that's on the Direct, but all of these numbers are pretty easy to access. It's not just the Direct that's reporting this. I'm just going to go through and pick some of the main juicy parts, but we'll get right into it. According to an exclusive report from Comic Book, based on data provided by Illuminate, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has unfortunately dropped by roughly half compared to last season. That not only prints a worrying picture for Born Again's overall interest, but also the MCU's larger TV strategy as a whole. Comparing the first 5 weeks against each other, Season 1's 8.375 million views have dropped to 4.515 million this season, marking a 46% decline in views with only one episode less released. Furthermore, Season 2 reportedly faced a 54% drop in hours watched from roughly 24 million to 10.867 million. Illuminate previously revealed that Wonder Man suffered weak viewership, with 549.6 million minutes watched in the 10 days after its binge release, while Born Again Season 2 roughly drew 47.28 million minutes watched in its first week. The data is based on 3 fewer days of viewership and only one episode of The Man Without Fear's latest season being available, but it's enough to show that the interest in Born Again Season 2 at launch was even lower than Wonder Man. Born Again Season 1's elevated opening, roughly double that of Season 2, makes sense given that it's a 2-episode premiere, unlike this year's follow-up. However, even in its second week, when Born Again Season 2 dropped 2 episodes at once, it continued to trail the first season by under half. In its first 5 weeks, Season 1 has delivered 7 episodes due to have 2 episode drops in week 1 and 4, which went down to 6 in Season 2, which only doubled up in week 2. That might mitigate some of the damage, but it doesn't excuse a decline in half its viewership that is ringing some alarm bells. Notably, Daredevil Born Again also failed to appear in Nielsen's streaming charts in its premiere week, March 23rd to 29th. That continues Born Again's unfortunate viewership trend from Season 1 of being only live-action MCU series to never make the charts, which is only more concerning given its most recent decline. Now, it's even more discerning if you understand how the charts work a little bit. Yeah. When you look at streaming numbers, it looks at this show as a whole, right? So if you have a Season 1 that people went back and watched, that counts as viewership for the whole, right? It doesn't look at just one season. Now, obviously, when they're talking about minutes watched in its premiere week, that's just counting the minutes watched. But when it goes to the Nielsen charts, it counts everything for the show. So it's still not even reaching the top 10 with a Season 1 in its pocket. That's pretty discerning as well. And I want to get this right off the bat. I didn't really love Season 1. I didn't think it was horrible. I did think it was not true to the show that was on Netflix. But I'll say I think Season 2 is, I don't want to say a return to form, but much better than Season 1. I think it's an improvement. I think it could be better for sure, but I think it's moving in an upward trend. So get that right out of the bat. This has nothing to do with the quality of the show per se. I know Wonder Man has a huge following of fans that just, kind of like Andor, didn't garner a lot of viewership, but it raved a lot of glowing reviews. And I think Wonder Man's in that same sense of everything I've seen is indicated that way. But it does, it doesn't necessarily throw out the fact that it's a problem that these shows can't garner success drawing in views, right? Because that's where the money is made, right? as well as it's made or not, it gets awards and all this stuff. What's really going to make the money is getting people to actually watch it, right? Getting people subscribed, getting people seeing the ads, all that stuff. And Daredevil, I hate to see this because it took us a while to get Daredevil back in the MCU, right? Netflix had a huge following of people who just love this show, and we never really knew if it was going to be brought into the MCU, and we still don't really know like the canon story-wise, like what is and what isn't. They're kind of still figuring that out themselves, it looks like. They brought in Jessica Jones, and it looks like they're bringing Luke Cage and Danny Rand in the next season, but this doesn't look good for them, because this is going in a downward trend of success, and they're not going to keep greenlighting it if they can't garner in some views, right? The reason you can stick around season 1 and 2 with high reviews, because eventually those glowing reviews are going to draw more attention. It just always works that way. Whether over time or right away initially, it does usually tend to, if the show is loved by fans, it will draw in more views as time goes on. So, maybe that has this working for it. Maybe that works for Wonder Man. I know they have a season 2 greenlit already, so if it stays in line with what season 1 was, and it can be a smashing success for the review, for the critics, maybe it grows more attention. But season 2 of Daredevil, I'm worried, because I think season 2 is much better than season 1, and it's not drawing more attention. Now, we obviously aren't all the way through, and maybe the finale is just a smashing success, and everyone comes in and watches it, and we get to see even more success come from it. But I thought it would be pertinent to bring it to everyone's attention, like, hey, if this is a show you guys like and enjoy, you gotta get the word out there, because it's not gonna be long before these kind of shows are just done. But, Marvel hasn't really had a lot of success on Disney Plus. They've had some, but not a lot, and if they can't keep people coming in, they can't bring in more views, they're not going to keep making these shows. It's just not sustainable business-wise. And I like Daredevil, especially season 2. I want people to watch this. I like it, but it's just, I think it's important to get out there. So all that being said, let me know what you guys think. If you guys like Daredevil so far, if you think it's a good thing, if you want to see them kind of move away. I know some fans just want to see them move away from Disney Plus, and I'll be honest, I'm more in that ballpark. I do like a lot of the shows, but I will say a lot of these Disney Plus shows feel like it's diluted the MCU brand. So I will also, I'm not going to ignore that side of it as well. There's a lot to go into it all together. But all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.